Hey everybody, my name's Jason Brokamp, and I will be telling you about Concussions, Deflategate, and ESPN, the state of sports journalism. So first off, let's take a look at concussions. What is a concussion? A concussion, or a mild traumatic brain injury, occurs when you are hit with a great enough force for the front of your brain to hit the front of your skull, and then whip back to hit the rear of your skull. When this occurs, the brain cannot function normally. Some symptoms of a concussion would be headaches, nausea, fatigue, confusion, memory loss, sleep disturbances, and/or mood swings. Headaches can take days and sometimes up to weeks to recognize. The setbacks caused by concussions are sometimes incurable effects, and concussions can they also do not have to occur through a direct hit to the head, but also a hard enough hit to the body could jostle the brain, causing a concussion. Furthermore, let's look at concussions in sports. Of all sports, the most prevalent and most famous cases of concussions occur in the National Football League, or the NFL. While the term concussion isn't normally thought of as being a life-threatening or serious injury, many athletes have committed suicide due to memory loss and dementia, which can soon be the causes for depression. It is estimated that over 2 million concussions occur in the U.S. each year just from sports. The 5 leading sports or activities for concussions are bicycling, football, basketball, playground activities, and soccer. Researchers have Researchers have sufficient evidence to also make the claim that high school athletes are more susceptible to concussions than collegiate or professional athletes and are also more prone to more serious symptoms. It is estimated that 53% of high school athletes have been diagnosed with a concussion, and 36% of athletes in college have been diagnosed with a concussion. And concussions in football. Chronic traumatic encephalopathy, CTE, is a degenerative disease caused by receptive brain injury. In a test involving 131 deceased football players of all ages, researchers found that out of 91 deceased NFL players, 87 of them were found to have CTE, which is about 96%. In a test done after the 2015 season, a report stated that the number of concussions went down by 35%, thanks to new safety rules and helmet safety inspections. Reports have stated that even with our modern technology and high-tech padding and helmets, the leather helmets that were invented soon after the dawn of football has better protection against concussions, but obviously not against skull fractures. So how did they solve this problem? New tackling restrictions have been put in place to protect both the offensive and defensive player. There are rules that do not allow the tackler to hit the target in the head or anywhere on the body with the tackler's head. If any player's helmets come off during the play is immediately called dead. The NFL also mandated that there be athletic trainers placed in the press box to try and point out any hard-to-spot health risks. The NFL has also created a $50 million contract with GE to help monitor brain injuries and create better equipment to prevent more injuries in the future. Now moving on to the Deflategate, here are some of the facts. The New England Patriots were under fire for allegedly deflating the footballs to an illegal level in order to gain an advantage over the Indianapolis Colts. A football must be inflated between 12.5 to 13.5 psi. The Patriots footballs were allegedly pumped to only 11.5 psi, which is 1 psi under the minimum. Each team uses their own footballs, and their air pressure is measured by the officials before the game. The temperature and other weather conditions can have some effect on the air pressure, which is what the Patriots were claiming was the case. There were rumors, however, stating that the Patriots were using underinflated footballs before the Indianapolis game, but there was no substantial information to back up the claims. Several NFL players came out in social media to give their 2 cents, stating that the underinflated balls would make no noticeable difference. Many tests were done to try and see if weather could have made the ball's PSI drop so drastically. Unfortunately, every test had a different result as they used different techniques, so the claim in court was named as inconclusive. Tom Brady, playing a key part in the Deflategate, called the accusation of Deflategate ridiculous. The Colts and the NFL claimed that Brady was more probable than not and generally aware of the underinflated footballs. The NFL's first verdict ended up being a 4-game unpaid suspension for Brady, which was later upheld as the 4-game suspension, saying that Brady allegedly breaking his phone in order to hide information was a key factor. Brady claimed that he was unaware of the NFL's request to confiscate his cell phone, and also claims that the phone was already broken. Tom Brady's suspension was finally withdrawn due to the NFL's lack of evidence and their failure to have consistent information. The Patriots overall were charged a $1 million fine and lost their first and fourth round draft picks in upcoming drafts. And lastly, let's talk about ESPN and the state of sports journalism. ESPN and other sports broadcasting shows are located all over the world. Some key places are France, Italy, Spain, England, and the United States. Some popular sports news sources are Sports Illustrated, Sporting News, all of the sports talks radio stations, and TV networks like Eurosport, Fox Sports, ESPN, and the Sports Network. Originally, sports journalists were also hired as stats keepers for the teams they followed. But with the invention of the radio, it forced the journalists to adapt now that the audience could get current updates while not attending the game for the first time ever. In order to adapt, journalists have decided to pursue the behind-the-scenes actions, now more than ever, giving the fans information on things they can't attend or listen to. Television has also affected the journalism business now that there's almost no reason to report on the game, since anyone can have the equivalent of being at the game, which rids the need of a game summary. They will talk about legal issues players are facing or potential trade deals circulating in the sports world. They'll even report on injuries the players get at practice or in games. The sports journalism world has also decided to switch to a heavy internet base with the rise of social media. ESPN and other sports networks have accounts on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, and many others to give live updates wherever you go. There is some evidence that shows sports journalism is dying out, but I believe that is only adapting with the ever-changing world of technology, which means reporting on different kinds of topics and more behind-the-scenes scenarios. And that is all I have for you guys, so thanks for listening, and I hope you enjoyed the presentation.